Hello and welcome to the show for our potentially final versus the community. On Forza 6, we decided to do some cycled production. Everybody driving stock, completely identical cars, and I opted to use vehicles that I had never driven on Forza 6. I didn't have any of these cars in my garage at the time of setting this all up. The first race with the Volkswagen Corrado at the Hockenheim Short Circuit with relatively low-class vehicles. This track often produces some truly brilliant racing. That was the hope for me. It was a lovely, straightforward start. The two cars ahead of me on the grid ran wide at the first corner. I would drive through it cleanly and get myself to the front of the race. Makes life a lot easier because, well, in these sort of cars around this sort of track, traffic is going to play quite a big part. It's difficult to make your way through the field in all of this because, yeah, everyone is going to be putting up a fight. It's great fun racing. In the mid-pack of these races is incredible good fun. Racing for position. You're constantly looking for a way to try and find an overtake on the car ahead, but you've always got to be wary. You go too aggressive and you can really risk losing places to the cars behind you. This little group would find out. Up ahead, two cars fighting in towards the hairpin, actually fighting quite aggressively in towards the hairpin. Both of them push their luck a little bit too much, run wide. The white and turquoise car we were looking at tries to get underneath the vehicle ahead of him. He can't quite make that one stick. The white and blue car is going to have a dive up the inside of the green and red, who was just about left the door the door open there. Little bit of swapping of paint going on. I didn't quite expect a car to dive suddenly up the inside, and now they're going side by side around this final corner. Lovely quiet time for me. Second and third, also enjoying a relatively quiet time as we head down towards the first corner. Difficult place to get a pass done. The white turquoise car almost does. However, there's a huge sausage curb on the inside. If you try and jump across it too much, it catches the underside of your car and kills all of your momentum. So that one there not quite working out so well. As I mentioned, when you're in one of these big trains, it is very, very good fun racing. If you make a small mistake, you can be in a lot of trouble. And not necessarily just a small mistake. If you end up out of position, so we're coming into turn one, the white car has got the overtake completed. The poor green vehicle just couldn't quite carry the speed on the outside. Ends up across the curb, opts not to jump across the curb to get back on track to try and avoid spinning out his car. Doesn't realise there's a purple vehicle that's busy making his way up the inside of the car behind him, and just everybody is keen. He loses 3 places in the space of 2 corners. The blue car gets a little bit boxed in at the back, and he ends up losing a couple of places as well in all of that. It's just, yeah, it does not take much to lose 2-3 places from, I mean, that was just from being overtaken. That was just from being wide, from being overtaken, let alone if you make a small mistake completely on your own. Of course, what it does also mean is that when the cars ahead of you start fighting once more, you tend to make up that gap quite quickly as we all rush down towards the hairpin once more. A couple of cars out very, very wide. The purple car also running quite wide. Green vehicle having a look, trying to get underneath, can't quite do it. The blue car's right in there, and the vehicles behind are going to kind of catch and join in. I was continuing to enjoy and slightly extending my lead in the early stages of the race. Second place coming under increasing pressure kind of worked out for me for a little while. As these guys fighted, slowing each other down would allow me to escape away a little bit more, although some of the quicker cars would gradually work their way forwards, with the white and blue car finally getting the pass complete to move up into a second place. The white vehicle, of course, not completely out of it. Only lost 1 place in that particular maneuver, which often in these large groups is the knack. If you can, if you're being overtaken, only losing 1 place is quite helpful. You don't want to be running quite so wide through the next corner. White and turquoise car having a little bit of a sniff up the inside would manage to get the vehicle alongside. And while you can get too wide, you can draw alongside there, it is quite difficult to then get a pass done heading into the hairpin, especially when the car behind is quite keen to get up the inside. I don't think the turquoise car actually realised someone was going to have a go at the inside of them. The green vehicle being forced across the inside curb. They get away with it though. At the end of the day, everybody survives all of that. This was further back, well outside the top 10 fighting for positions still as we head down this back kind of ish straight where we would have 3 Volkswagens wide. This isn't a particularly good corner. Most corners around here you can go 2 wide. 3 wide here is not a not a good idea. White and blue car wisely backs out of it, especially when the grey car runs in a little bit too hot, slightly taps the back of the vehicle ahead, loses his own back end, and we're fall to the back of the group. yeah, you got to pick and choose your moments to get passes done. Sometimes it is better just to have a bit of a lift. Just to fall into line and wait for another corner. Yeah, trying to fit 3 cars there probably would not have ended particularly well. Green car would defend into the hairpin with the car that we are following at the moment. Nowhere to really go at that particular time. For me, probably one of the loneliest races of the lot, having got to the lead after turn 1. I didn't really drive away from the field. For the mid part of the race, I was gradually pulling away. Second and third were a tad faster than me over the course of a lap, but when I had about 350 foot lead at one point, they were very gradually, half a second here, 0.3 there per lap, catching and just ran out of time. Ran out of time to do anything about my vehicle. So yeah, for me, not particularly the most exciting of races. However, I would get a victory. Sometimes that's the important thing. Either way, further back, the closest of finishes. In fact, this might be one of the closest of finishes that we have had, certainly over such a large group of vehicles. I mean, the mid-pack had been fighting like this for pretty much the entirety of the race. This red Volkswagen desperately trying to cling on to a position, but of course they're fighting, they slow each other down, another car comes and joins in, and yeah, by the final lap here they are side by side through almost every corner. The blue car now trying to draw alongside but doesn't quite have the traction up ahead of them. There are cars fighting for position as it's a big dive up the inside for the red car. He can't quite get that move done on the slowing white vehicle. It's to the final turn. That's all slowed the red car down. Blue car's got a massive run on the outside. Just clips the sand though. Loses that little bit of momentum. The purple car actually gets the best run of the lot of them as all 3 of them cross the line almost together. The car behind them is very close indeed as the AIs then fit 3 wide through turn 1. Yeah, it was an impressive photo finish. The red car would get the position, I believe it was around 6th or 7th place. It was between the blue car and purple car. It was the closest. Very little to choose between the pair of them. The game gave it to the purple car. Now, we know Forza tracks it's when the front wheel crosses the line rather than the front bumper. Yeah, very close between the pair of them. I think if the blue car hadn't perhaps ever so fractionally snagged the sand on the exit, he might have got both of those positions. But there we go. Yeah, that's the tiniest of margins. I don't think we've ever had a 3-way photo finish. Not to that extent, to as closer a finish as that one. Race number 2, and we would head to a Laguna Seca with the Nissan 370Z. Yes, another car that I've absolutely never driven on this game. Don't know why. Quite like the 370Z. But yeah, hadn't driven the vehicle. This blue Nissan would work himself to the lead when one of the clones ran wide at turn 1. I'm not sure whether just people hadn't had the Nissans painted up, or is possible that Forza was being a little bit derpy with the old loading of liveries. Sometimes it just doesn't like loading liveries when it comes to replays. I had a slightly 3 wide moment. It's not really an ideal. I think one of the blue cars got very sideways on his own coming down the corkscrew, made himself incredibly slow, and we tried to fit 3 cars through a place where 3 cars probably shouldn't really be trying to fit. We made it, but we were all very slow, and this green car would make the most of the opportunity to join in the fight. There's nothing really I could do at this stage. Again, we're all in completely identical cars, which are sort of side by side coming down the start-finish line as I try to be brave around the outside. Don't quite get my braking right. The blue car behind me doesn't either. We touch ever so slightly on the outside. Survived it. It was quite the scary moment. It don't necessarily follow me in the braking zone. Sometimes I am human. I do make those little escapey mistakes into turn 1, and it continued to be a pretty big group of cars fighting towards the front. See, I was keen to have a snip up the inside. The clones kind of spread out a little bit through this group, the white, orange, and black car, trying desperately to fend off from a silver vehicle. The silver car, though, opened the door, and again, much as we saw with the Volkswagens, you open the door, and everybody is keen to try getting through. Yeah, that was a little bit of a bump from me. I apologise on that one. I thought I was actually clear. Didn't realise this car had quite got as much speed around the outside there as he did. Does get it back on track, almost fires it up the inside of my vehicle. Can't quite get it done as there's still going 2 and 3 wide on the run up towards the top of the hill. Yeah, that's definitely not a place you want to be going 3 wide through there. In the end, Car on the outside backs out of it on the way in, which is probably your best bet through there. You go for a cutback, get a good run up towards the corkscrew. Still not an easy place to get overtakes done. Mind, the corkscrew, see up ahead, two of the clones were having a fight for position through the corkscrew. They do make it. The car we're following had a little bit of a lock-up, almost lost the rear end under brakes into the corkscrew, but would get away with it. And we were actually seeing quite a lot of overtaking at the corkscrew this time around. Again, it's another small mistake. A small mistake running wide at the previous corner, and that's all the invitation that you need to have a big go up the inside, and the black Deadpool car would get the position. There's a big slide from the yellow car on the exit of the corkscrew, but yeah, it tends to normally be more into sort of turn one area that you see the overtakes done, but yeah, corkscrew was proving to be a quite action-packed zone. We'll go with action-packed zone of the track. This was the fight for the lead. The blue Nissan had held the lead for quite some time. The green car has it go. The blue vehicle really leaving it. It was just about a Nissan's width. It's very difficult to get cars stopped on that inside wonky line. The green car braved it, but just couldn't get it slowed down in time. Got away with only losing a couple of places, not stacks and stacks of time, as we head through the next couple of corners. The leader was a little bit slow, getting a hurry-up bump, and despite the slight escaping down the corkscrew, green car is right back into contention. I think he had a wheel on the curb. Is not necessarily the easiest way to, or best way to get a car slowed down. He does, though, manage to get it stopped, as they're going to now run side by side across the start-finish line and down towards turn one. And of course, while the blue vehicle had been struggling a little bit for pace, as soon as you've got two cars ahead of you, it's easier to follow people. It's much easier to follow people, follow their lines if they're making time through a corner somewhere that you might be struggling. You've now got quick cars to follow, and they're going side by side. So they're slowing each other down a fair bit. It's still the pair of them are absolutely side by side. You see the other blue Nissan behind has caught up to this group very, very quickly. The car we're riding on board with has a go up the inside. It is a very, very fast corner there. Only minimal braking, really couldn't quite carry the speed to get that one done. And now he's under threat from the vehicle behind, who almost manages to get a couple of cars in one go, but tags the side of the vehicle ahead and would drop back. It was, yeah, plenty of excitement. I fell off the track a little bit too much. Made some silly mistakes myself. Couldn't quite get involved with this big old fight for the lead. But it would be the green Nissan that would go on to take victory. Silver car in second, followed by the two blue vehicles. Yeah, my Nissan down in fifth place. Yeah, the 370Zs were rather good fun. And our final race would head to the Hockenheim GP circuit with the fastest cars. I believe I am correct in saying this. The fastest cars we have ever used in a versus the community, or certainly on Forza 6, might be the fastest cars we've ever used full stop. I'm not sure. Either way, we've got the Lamborghini Gallardo Super Trofeo vehicles at this Nürburgring GP circuit. A relatively calm opening. I say relatively calm opening corners. It's 2 and 3 wide a lot in Lamborghinis. Could have got an awful lot worse though through these turns. Yeah, if you get caught again, much like I said with the previous two races, you get caught out of position, you get caught on a slightly wonky line when you're in cars this quick. Can be very, very costly, especially in the opening stages. The gold car that we are following here, a little bit of a lockup out a little bit wide. Does, though, just about get away with this one. The two white and green Lamborghinis kind of end up boxing each other in. I didn't have a nice grid spot on this one. I was well down the order as we head towards the hairpin for the first time. It's a big break from that white and green car. Has a look at drawing up alongside. Will get the exit. The gold car having to have a little bit of a lift on the outside, although you can get a decent enough run on that outside line, so he does only lose one of the places. Now, we saw the Volkswagens going 3 wide in various places. The Lamborghinis were keen to not be outdone. It's a flat-out corner with a little bit of, bashing of doors. I did not think all 3 cars were going to come out of that in one piece. They did, though, survive. I think the grey car at the front of this group might have slightly clipped the tyre bundle on the way through the chicane, ended up backing everybody up. So the silver and red car here, having lost 2 places through the kink on the straight, actually then immediately regained said 2 places. They now rush down towards the first corner. Your overtaking chances, or overtaking places, a lot more prevalent around the Nürburgring track than perhaps at Laguna, heading down towards turn 1. The pink car having a look at trying to squeeze his way around the outside. It's actually a pretty good manoeuvre. If you can keep your car alongside, you'll be on the inside preferred line through turn 2. The silver car running out of grip on the outside across the AstroTurf. The grey vehicle leading this group, slightly blocking in the pink car, but they all get away. At the end of the day, the silver and red car just runs out of momentum, has to take such a tight line, loses all of that speed, and has to eventually concede the position. I was locked in that crazy mid-pack battle. As I said, I started a fair way down the order and was doing okay actually with these cars. I was doing better than I was expecting with the full-on race cars, with a better run up through the S's, have a dive at the inside, but these corners, quite difficult to get passes done through these. They're not a huge amount of braking, sort of medium speed corners. It's not the easiest place to get passes done, and in the end I decide the better idea would be to sit and follow. And I had to be careful because, well, I've got a car behind me. I go too aggressive, I take too many wonky lines, and I'm going to find myself under threat from the vehicle behind. No real space into the chicane at this particular moment to get passes done. And of course, we've started fighting in the space of, well, 3 or 4 corners. The whole train has come to join in. The gold car got himself a little bit of trouble on the outside curb, ran wide in the braking zone. He's going to lose 1 place to me, and then he's going to lose a 2nd place as well. Yeah, it's so punishing. In groups like those, it is so punishing to make just the tiniest of mistakes. And the front and the lead too were quickly breaking away from the field. You saw the fights going on in the mid-pack. These two managed to pull a gap early on, and you can't even see the cars further back while they were all very busy fighting for positions. The lead car would run a little bit too wide on the exit of the chicane, and once more you see that opportunity. That's a slither of an overtaking chance. The gold car would take it. White and green vehicle tried to hold it the long way around at that final corner, but was not quite going to have the grip, was not going to quite be able to make that one stick. I was, very much in the thick of of the action, and it was still going quite crazy. 3 Lamborghinis wide once more, different corner. I'm not sure better or worse corner to try and fit 3 Lamborghinis. Either way, they were still working. I was going around the outside. I love the outside run down towards the hairpin. I can get a really good run heading down here. Unfortunately, it does tend to mean you get stuck on the outside for the hairpin. The white and red car got a big sideways moment. I had to kind of take avoiding action to get out of the way of him, and that let 3 cars past me. It's just little things, and now we're going back to the nose to tail all the way up through the S's. Just about everybody fits their car through. They're too wide through the S's further back. That's some bravery going around the outside there. Once more, I had a gold Lamborghini to try and find my way past, and once more, didn't really get much in the way of luck. I just don't like getting overtakes done into that corner. It just doesn't really work. When you're on the inside, you take such a tight line that you lose all of your speed, and getting overtakes not quite working. Up ahead of that humongous tussle, there was another pair of cars. It kind of split up into groups. You had the lead 2, you had then 3rd, 4th and 5th. This was 6th and 7th were fighting for position. You just about see 3rd, 4th, 5th and so on up ahead. You'd kind of spread out until you found a group to race with. You then have that little group. You'd battle and slow each other down away from the group ahead, but you might still be quick enough to be ahead of the group further behind. That these little sort of self-contained battles, but they were very good fun to be a part of it. These two going side by side since the kink on the back straight. Still the pink and white car having a look up the inside through that final corner. Now the black Lamborghini has got that outside line working, has got the momentum on the outside to out-drag his competitor's car down towards turn 1. Once he's clear, moves across to get ready to defend into this first very tight hairpin. The pink car's again trying the long way round at turn 1. The black car will move himself across. Good driving from the pair of them there. There's a few millimetres between a lot of these cars at most times. This was the fight for 3rd position. The grey car held on to it for a large majority of the race, coming under increasing pressure in the closing stages. They're now going to try going side by side up through the S's. As I say, this is a tough manoeuvre to pull off. The gold car almost gets it right, carries a bit too much speed on the way in, runs wide, clips the sand trap. The grey car, in trying to fit too wide, also runs wide in a different part of the corner, and they both lose a place to the silver and red car, as a pair behind are actually catching this group as they were starting to fight more vigorously over the 3rd place. a lot of changing of positions was going on in all of this. Up at the front, having got himself to the lead, the golden Lamborghini would go on to take victory. It wasn't by the hugest of margins. You can still see the white car in second place, but a little bit more comfortable and perhaps a little bit less crazy race than those of us further back. As I said, yeah, these two got away clean at the start, managed to pull a gap to the rest of the field and didn't slow each other down too much, fighting for the lead. And yeah, a good race for them. The closest finish of all, though, would go to these two vehicles, I think, fighting around the 8th place. Up towards the chicane we go. The white and red car trying to make a pass stick. They're both, so they're very narrow on the exit of the chicane there, especially in big, wide Lamborghini race cars. They both fitted just about through the corner. The white and green car keen to try and make that outside line stick. We'd seen it work with one car, but it just wasn't quite enough momentum this time around as they run down towards the start-finish line. The white and red car would get the position. Yeah, for the fastest cars we'd run in Forza 6, these were bloody good fun. It was really, really good fun with the Lamborghinis. Absolutely crazy mid-pack battle. I dropped back a little bit from those pair that were fighting after the sideways incident through the through the hairpin. I just got stuck in traffic fighting other cars as well. Yeah, manic race with the Lamborghinis, but very good fun indeed. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Now, as I said, this is probably our last versus the community on Forza 6 because, well, Forza 7 is going to be out very shortly. Now, it will be out only for those with the Ultimate Edition, because it releases, I think, is it 4 days early for the Ultimate Edition? I don't know. But I didn't really see much point in doing a Forza 6 sort of video when everybody's going to be interested in Forza 7 stuff. And, yeah, it won't be on the Thursday because all the games are going to be out. So I'm going to be doing it on a Saturday for those that do have the Ultimate Edition, for those who are going to be playing it a little bit earlier than, I say, the official release. I don't really know how to call it with these Ultimate Edition earlier. Either way, yeah, we're going to be doing something on Forza 7 on Saturday. That will be the Saturday the 30th of September. If you want to sign up and take part, you can go to our forums. I don't quite know what class or cars and so on we're going to be racing yet. I'm going to have to wait and see until I play the game and can make a judgment call on that. But it'll probably be some mid-class cars, sort of B-class cars, something around that. The sort of the usual fail race versus the community sort of vehicles. So yeah, if you want to take part, go to our forums. There'll be a link in the description. That post will be updated when I have decided on what cars and so on we are going to be running. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, though, and until next time, goodbye.